Welcome to the July edition of Point Blank on the Houndsman XP Podcast. We got a full crew in here, minus Heath. Heath is on family vacation. He didn't put in a vacation request, so he might be fired when he gets back. But anyway, Point Blank is where we go a little bit deeper into some of the past episodes. We discuss some topics that might have been missed, and it's just a general mosh pit of entertainment for you. We just talk dogs, and this one's got everything. Chad Reynolds is in the house. We get sidetracked. It's funny to say sidetracked on a hound hunting podcast. We get sidetracked on some training issues and some training advice from the one and only Chad Reynolds. Seth is in the house. He adds entertainment all the time, but we're going to talk about all kinds of stuff. So Bryce, Chad, and Seth join me for this Point Blank. And this is a part of the pre-roll where I'm asking you for something. I'm asking you to support this podcast, and you can do that by shopping at our sponsors. You can go over to houndsmanxp.com, check out all of our sponsors. You can also find cool merchandise there. You can find out how to get more involved with Patreon and all the awesome bonus content that Seth drops there every week. It's like having mini podcasts over at Patreon. Besides that, we're going to put your name in the hat every month for a drawing that's worth at least $100, and a semi-annual drawing and an annual drawing. I mean, we got all kinds of stuff going on over there, and it's all for you to say thank you for supporting us and supporting this show. Check out Dogs Are Treed. Right now, it's hot, and I just couldn't make it without Dogs Are Hydrated. Stage 1, Stage 2, you got to use them both. It's easy to use once you get your dogs used to a routine, and that's what being a houndsman and a superior dog trainer is all about, is developing that routine with your hounds, with your dogs. Super easy stuff to use. You mix it up, you pour it in a bowl, they drink it before they exercise, and then you do the recovery step afterwards. It adds calories, carbohydrates. It's all there, folks, and Dogs Are Hydrated. And also, I would not have been able to make it through that brutal northern New Mexico environment without Paws Are Protected. I had dogs' feet that were just chewed up, ate up, and Paws Are Protected kept them on their feet, kept them rolling every day. So check out Dogs Are Hydrated and Paws Are Protected over at houndsmanxp.com. In this episode, you're also going to hear more in-depth detail about Seth's adventure to British Columbia, which was made possible by Freedom Hunters. Freedom Hunters takes America's heroes, our veterans, on outdoor adventures, and Houndsman XP has been coordinating those hound adventures for Freedom Hunters since the beginning. Guys, you owe it. I'm just going to call it like it is. You owe it to our veterans to pay it back. And this is an easy way. You love to hunt. We got a whole database full of veterans that love to hunt. And all you got to do is reach out to me, and I will get you set up with a veteran to take along on your next hunting adventure. Introduce them to hound running. I'm telling you, veterans are warriors. We need them in our corner, and we need to pay it back to them, so it's just the right thing to do. Check out Freedom Hunters at freedomhunters.org or go to our website. All the information's right there. Let's get the tailgate down. It's time to dump the box.
Chris, our levels sound good?
Sounds good.
Test.
Oh, Chad, you sound dreamy as always.
Chad's dreamy. He's a dreamy.
He is.
Wait a second.
I've got bear hunting on my mind. Can you tell?
Well, I thought you had hair hunting on your mind.
There we go.
Oh, he's the new MAGA shaman. Cougar shaman.
I'll just do the podcast like this, guys. Yeah.
So, is that the new rug you just got back?
Yeah.
Chad? That thing looks good.
That's right. It does, don't it?
Yeah.
Whiskers are pretty good. I got another one on the way, too.
They've been there for a while. If he used Colgate Plus on those teeth, they're looking good.
This ad brought to you by Colgate.
I saw this stuff that was supposed to like whiten your teeth in 30 seconds. It was this purple slime you put on your teeth.
on that, and it sounds
And?
terrible.
No, I didn't buy it. I was just looking at it.
Oh, I thought you said you were going to try it.
I should. I've got 54 years of, well, I haven't been drinking coffee for 54 years, but.
You got 42 years of coffee. I bet you started young. You look like someone who started drinking black as oil at like 10 years old to get through the sawmill.
Well, when I first started drinking coffee, it was, like you had to have cream and sugar in it. And then I don't know where it came from. Just all of a sudden, it was like I turned off the cream and sugar and went straight black coffee. And that's how
I turned off the sugar.
Since.
I turned off the sugar. I can't turn off the creamer yet.
Yeah. Well, the creamer is worse. Are you using actual creamer?
No.
What do you use? Do you just use like cream, or what do you use?
Oh no, it's the powdered creamer. Whatever.
What
the
are
old
you
lady
doing
buys.
to yourself, Bryce? Oh,
What's wrong with it?
it's horrible. You're
using...
putting asbestos in your coffee. Oh,
Tastes pretty good out of my Houndsman XP tumbler.
Hey, by the way, yeah, we've been selling a few tumblers. So everybody that's been in the Houndsman XP store and has been purchasing stuff. We had an outstanding first month, but yeah, some of the tumblers are moving, and all that stuff's going to be at Autumn Oaks next month. So there you go.
What's Autumn Oaks, Chris?
Oh my goodness. Do we even need to answer that question, Bryce?
It's the best week of your life. It's fantastic.
It's like Jamie Anderson calls it. It's like the Sturgis for coon dogs.
That sounds fun.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
It doesn't start officially until Thursday, and we get there on Sunday morning, bright and early, to get in line so we get a prime camping spot.
That's right. We're going to be hanging out at Bryce's camper. And hey, we're going to have to talk off air because, all right. So since we already breached the topic of Autumn Oaks, let's just dive into it. We're going to be there. We're going to be set up in a double booth with Cajun lights. We're going to have, oh yeah. Yep. So we're going to have a mega booth. We're going to have our new Houndsman Extreme dog box or Competition Extreme dog box on display. And that's all going to be rolling out. There's going to be all kinds of promotional stuff coming out on the dog box. We're going to have all of our merchandise there. We're going to have sponsors there. Kevin and Nancy Hall are coming in from Ingham, Idaho, from Dogs Are Treats. They're going to be in the booth. And there's a special unveiling that's going to happen there on a new product from Dogs Are Treat. We're going to have one TDC. We're going to have what else? We're going to have Dogs Are Treat. We're going to have one TDC. We're going to have Straight Line Enterprises, which produces our dog box. They're going to be there. They're also a Joy dog food dealer. So we got it going on. We're going to be the place. I want our booth to be the place to be for that week.
Midwest Laserworks will also be there. Probably not associated with the Houndsman XP, but Midwest Laserworks will have a booth.
Yeah, we don't want you to be actually facial association with us, Bryce.
Yeah, you'll have that on them big jobs. I don't want to steal your thunder.
Hey, where's Game Catcher at? I thought he was going to make fun of Bryce's garden today.
I'm glad he didn't show up. He's probably like on some squirrel-generated internet from Maine, and his sound will be terrible, and he'll be like trying to make fun of stuff, and his sound will be so bad that it'll get lost.
He'll be like,
Bryce, your garden is terrible. Muskie, bear, walker, black, Maine, lobster, and that's all we'll get from him.
Pretty much.
Yeah. So what's been going on?
There's no making fun of this garden, Chris. Don't even start. I'm just going to end it. Don't make fun of my garden today.
We're not going to make fun of your garden. We're going to get into the garden stuff, Bryce, because I actually want a full report on the 4x4 garden. I can't even say it without laughing. Okay, so but let's dive into this point blank. We've had a lot of stuff going on the last month or so. It's been a while since we've done a point blank, and Chad's out there doing all kinds of crazy stuff. Seth just got back from Canada. Bryce continues to knock down big wins and stuff at competition hunts. And I just got back from New Mexico. So we got plenty to talk about. And if we have time, we'll talk about that thing that you call a garden. So, Chad, what you been up to, man?
Oh, training bird dog puppies right now and sighthound puppies.
That little guy is so cute, Chad. Oh, dandy.
That's a secret weapon. That's what that is.
Oh my God, he's so cute. The instinct.
He's a Llewellyn setter, right?
Yeah, that's right. There's some weird technicalities that may, like his bloodline, his lineage forever has been Llewellyn setters, and if I'm getting this right, the registry is pretty much closed. So even though Llewellyn setters are from,
that's kind of hoity-toity.
Yeah, well, Spain, their dogs hunt that way, but they aren't in the stud book. So like he's an English setter of Llewellyn descent. There's all kinds of nonsense.
Llewellyn gets you a glass of single malt 60-year-old Scotch at the field.
And you do your pinky up.
And pinky up and stuff like that. If you just got an English setter, it's like, oh, okay. There's some something over in there in the punch bowl that you can have. But if you have a Llewellyn, then it's the Scotch drinkers.
That's right.
Yeah.
I'm excited about them though. It'll be a new style for me. Like the little panther crawl, for anybody that's not familiar with them. That's what this bloodline's notorious for, is its ability to track. So a bird dog that, is a specialist at tracking, and they do that low crawl stuff where their belly's a few inches off the ground, and they do the panther crawls, and they'll move up like 10 yards and stop. And then you can kind of fall behind him with your gun up and ready to go, and give him a little tap on the head, and he'll move up another 10 feet. And, because that's my problem up in the Chucker Hills around here, is there's not much cover. So the birds can see you coming, and they're actually more afraid of the dog than they are the bird, than me, and if they ever see the dog, they flush and go. So, and a lot of times my dog will smell it, and then they start working in, and they'll point, from 50 yards away sometimes, but sometimes at 80 yards, the birds will flush. So if the dog just says, hey, there's odor here, and, by doing the little creepy crawly thing, at least I have my gun up, I'm off safe, I'm looking. And then as we inch in, if the birds don't even let me get that final point, at least I'll be up, focused, ready to go, have the gun up. So that's what's exciting about this little rascal. So a tracking bird dog will be something new.
His instinct is insane, man. Just those videos you're posting, he's so young and just slamming on scent already. Oh, that's
entirely awesome. Gun broke too, which is cool because it's a soft breed. Very handler sensitive. This line specifically, very handler sensitive. So the breeder even calls it my dogs are soft. So takes the correction very seriously. Very mild correction affects them. But that said, he's already entirely gun broke. I got the little 22 specials in the revolver, the little 6-shot revolver, and I could wear him out. I could stick it in between his legs and just bah, 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 and he's trying to bite the gun and everything. He's totally gun broke already at 11 weeks. It's pretty cool.
Yeah. So what is it? I've always asked this question. We've all seen the video of the litter of German short hair pointers with the wing out in front of them, and instinctively everything goes on point. I've always wondered why those instincts are so easy, not easy, but what is it about? Why can't we find those kind of genetic markers and instincts within our hounds? What's going on there?
I think you could. It's just there's a lot that goes into it, and there's differences of opinion. So I'm just going to give you mine, but like field trials are one of the things that have really helped out bird dogs, where you can be tested. You can come up with a program, set boundaries, and give them time limits and plant the birds and, test each dog very similar to each other. And even now there's a lot of hunters, like the bloodline I got my dogs from. They don't trial, but a lot of that came, that like jump started the whole venue, the bird dog venue.
Yeah, I don't know if I buy into that, Bryce, because I mean, how many night hunts are there in a weekend across the United States for coonhounds? The Houndsman XP podcast is fueled by Joy Dog Food. Joy Dog Food has a rich tradition of supporting the houndsmen of America. Founded in 1945, Joy is proud of its history and the relationship it has built with the American houndsman. And in 76 years, there's never been a recall. Made with 100% American-made high-quality ingredients, Joy Dog Food has one of the highest calorie-dense formulas on the market. For 76 years, this made-in-America product has kept hunting dogs in the field day after day, season after season. And when we say made in America, Joy has a long track record of fighting for American freedoms by being on the front lines against the animal rights movement and their extremist tactics. Joy will fuel your hounds and fight for your freedoms, fueled by Joy. Hey guys, have you checked out OnX? Seriously, I'm coming off of a 2-week trip in northern New Mexico, and I cannot tell you how important OnX was for me. It was a deal where this is an easy product for me to talk about just based on a 2-week experience. When you go into new country, and I've never been in the Paloma Ranch country, northern New Mexico before, with all the features and OnX, I was able to get a really good grasp on that country and understand it at a level that I never could have any other way. There's features in there about tracking yourself so you can make your own tracks and keep track of where you've been. That's important when you're trying to navigate and head off hounds and learn trails. It's sped up the learning curve so quickly. And terrain features. You can look at topo maps. You can look at like heat maps that show you the degree of angle so you know where those big drop-offs are, know where your dogs are headed. I can't say enough about it. You just got to get into OnX and check out all the features. Go to onxhunt.com and get the Elite subscription today. Use the promo code HXP20 and you will get 20% off of your subscription, your annual subscription to OnX. Know where you stand with OnX. What do you think?
Way too many.
Too
many. I would say across the United States, there's over 25, 30.
Easy. Don't you think? I mean,
but do you think uniformity? Do you think the uniformity of the trials, like Chad was talking about, can make that a more testable example? Because in a coon hunt, you don't really know where the coons are; they're wild. But in one of those competition hunts, possibly, as Chad was saying, birds are planted in specific spots that gives a uniform testing criteria that makes it more standardized. I don't know.
Don't be bringing science into this.
This is a complete outsider looking in.
No, that's what I was going to say. You know, I mean, that helps is what I'm getting at. It's easily okay. For example, hardness in a terrier. That's not easy for everybody to accomplish, but it's easy to test for if you're committed to it. I mean, essentially you go out hunting and let your dog tie in with a raccoon and then grade it accordingly. That can be tested for, but desire to hunt, you know, range, all those other things, it can be complicated for people to test on their own, you know? So I guess just what I'm trying to say is, how close was the dog to the bird? How hard did it point? Did it lock up? Like all these things can be handled pretty quickly. I don't know. I guess I see where you're coming from, but I just think the measuring stick for bird dogs can be more easily tested for rather than a coon dog competition, I guess. But the instincts are there with you guys too. I mean, there's pups that will respond to raccoon odor at a very young age, salivate in the mouth, get excited.
Plus, don't you think that selective breeding for a behavior is a little bit easier to quantify itself than I guess a physical characteristic behavior than it is like trailing something? Because, you know, we don't really know what our hounds are doing off in the woods, but if you're selecting for that pointing behavior, you can see it. It's right in front of you.
There. Right.
So you can make that adjustment. Plus, I mean, that behavior is just like a modified stalk. right? So it's a behavior that canids already want to do. And so it's happening right in front of you, and you can intensely quantify and select for those behaviors right in front of you. So I wonder if that maybe helps bird dogs accelerate that behavior quicker. And like the criteria of testing has maybe screwed that down even tighter. Again, all hypothesis. That's just kind of what I was thinking.
Now, I don't know anything about the bird dog trials or how they work, but is a dog tested individually, or are there groups of 4 dogs tested at one time?
There's every kind of flavor you can come up with, to be honest. Most are single. Some dogs are ran in a brace, but comparing Bob to Sally while they're both out on the field isn't as important. I guess imagine if you could put a little camera on maybe one of your raccoon dogs, your coon dogs, and you could see, all right, what did the strike look like? How did they trail? Did he wobble, or did he hit the line and immediately take off? Left foot, right foot, left foot, right foot. Like, you could observe all of these different things, where you can with a bird dog. Now, when you hunt them, again, I believe this is what jump started it. Now there's people that took that, they stood on their shoulders, and now they're out hunting, and those dogs are like 1,000-yard dogs, and you can't observe all of that either. So I'm not trying to say that's the only way it can be done. But I think that really got a lot of the fluff out of the way. Like, for example, with cocker trials, those dogs should never really get 30, 40, definitely not 50 yards away. They're trying to work in shotgun range. So, I mean, everything the dog does when it catches a whiff. Right? What's that?
Because they're a flusher.
That's right. Yeah. But you could observe all of it, like, where the wind's coming. You could see the little flagging tape where the bird is. This one, boom, as soon as he hit it, he turned in, and, so I don't know. I think, like I said, I think it's easier to put a metric to bird dog trial stuff rather than coon dog trial stuff. But like I said, it's still there. The cool instincts firing off are still there to tree instinctively, without being able to see it. That's neat. But I don't know if it's quite the same as what you were saying, like with a little bird on the end of a string, a bird wing on the end of the string, where their instincts lock up.
It's just like, boom. Point. I've also used the analogy of like a cat. You take a house cat and you kick a cat that's living its entire life inside the house. You boot it out, and within a week, it's stalking. It's a honed killer within a week. It takes no, but yet we see it all the time. People say things like, 8 out of 10 hounds never make it. Well, I'm not satisfied with that. I'm not satisfied that 8 out of 10 hounds can't make it. What are we doing what are we doing as hound breeders if 8 out of 10 can't make solid, serviceable dogs? When you can take a house cat and throw it out in the yard and not feed it for a week, and it's catching its own game and it's supporting itself. The instincts come out. I don't buy that. But when I see what you say, Chad, about the bird dog thing, I think that what we do with coon hounds in competition or bear dogs is completely different. They're working without direct supervision, long way away from us. So there's a little bit more to it.
I think if we, I'm not even suggesting this, but I'm saying hypothetically. You're
just going to have to jump in, Bryce. You can't raise your hand. Don't be raising your hand.
If there was a drone, if there was like a drone that could follow on and then watch, track a dog. I mean, because even like some of the coyote dog stuff in the pens, like they're grading whoever the first dog is across the road,
Yeah.
1, 2, and 3, 1, 2, and 3. Who's actually running that track the best? Like. It could just be whoever's cutting the corners and getting out front, could be. Don't lynch me, please.
Help me, Bryce.
I don't think that it's 8 out of 10 hounds don't make it. I think it's 8 out of 10 hounds don't make it in the time frame that people want them to make it, especially in the competition side of things. It is all about who can do it the fastest, the youngest.
Great point. I was going to say, because you have no pressure on that stupid cat. Like, it's just out there. We put way more pressure on a dog than that dumb cat. Plus, I'd argue 8 out of 10 cats that go outside are dead in 3 weeks from predators anyway. But that just being said,
that's a good thing.
Which is good. Good job, predators. But like, yeah, I mean, yeah, I agree 100% with Bryce. I feel like it's just that, man, we put a lot on those dogs. So yeah,
we put a ton on them, and there's a lot at stake. Like we're going out there hunting, with the $6,500 entry fee, hunting for $100,000. You've got to have a lot at stake, and you have to have a lot of pressure on them. You take the elite level to those. You take your elite level hound to those elite level events. Just because the dog doesn't tree 4 coons in an hour doesn't mean he's not a coon dog. A dog that might tree 2 coons an hour is a coon dog. It's just, are they going to suit you or are they going to suit me? What purpose are you using them for?
Yeah. You don't take
his whole life doesn't want a deep and lonely dog. He just doesn't.
You don't take a plow horse to the Kentucky Derby.
Very true.
Yeah, you just don't. It doesn't work. But it's.
I'd also say this though. Here's another idea. Just like you said, how you see the bird dog people with the wing on a string, and they flop it around and they all lock up on point. Right? Like you said it. You've observed it.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying this is the trick to it. This is the answer or anything like that. But like, what if houndsmen started getting a little bear scent, and at whatever age, did it from, across the backyard and just turned all the puppies loose in the backyard. And then all the puppies ran out there to go like explore. And then all 7 of the 8 hit the track. One of them just went off in the corner and did its own thing. And one puppy out of that litter actually opened up on it, never having smelt it before, and just kind of whimpered a little bit. And you genetically sterilized all the others and bred that one. And the next litter did it again. And next litter did it again. And next litter did it again. And eventually, you're going to have a bunch of puppies that are just opening them on scent just instinctively. I think may be what it is.
You tapped into something right there, and it was an overlooked podcast that Heath did. He did a 2-part
just here to
series.
Say, Chad needs to tune into the journey.
Yeah. So Heath did a 2-part podcast, and people didn't listen to it because it was hard for them to listen to because it was translated in Spanish. And then he did a follow-up with Mark Dufresne, and they broke it all down. But I would encourage everybody to, if you're interested in what you just touched on, Chad, to go back and take the time and listen to what Heath put together with Miguel from Spain on the Tracking 101 podcast, part 1 and 2. I mean, it was unbelievable information that if you want to increase your success rates in developing great trail dogs, then I don't know how you couldn't listen to that and take something away from it.
Is that one of the things they do with the odor and the puppies and a litter?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, okay. They start early.
Well, we can tell you haven't been doing your homework.
Shane told me that was a great episode, actually.
Yeah, I could tell you what I've done with every hunting dog I've ever raised, and that's one of it. When I go to check out the litter,
yeah,
that's one of the very first things I do. I take any. It doesn't even matter what it is. I've even used my wife's perfume one time. I'll take it on a rag, I'll scuff it on my boot, or I'll just drag it across the ground, and I'll ask them to turn the whole litter loose. And even if I'm not looking for anything, I want curiosity. I want them to get out there, identify it, and then respond to it in some fashion, and I'm okay with that. And then I want them to, the next thing is willingness to forgive, and overcome.
I've got a question. You brought up something that's crazy right there. Your wife's perfume.
Mm-hmm.
Why? And I already know the answer. I want you to expand on this. Why would you choose that for your puppies to follow? I've got my own theory on it. I'll say it after you answer.
Okay. To me, it's just, in a sense of olfactory, it's loud. It stands out. It's very strong. It's not something that they've been associated with, so those are the main things. 1, it's not something they're familiar with. 2, it's very powerful. 3, it stands out. And if it's freshly sprayed, you can get it to bind to the ground a little bit. I always think of odor as like confetti, and if it's fresh, it will stick, so to speak, to a track. And that's the main reason why. I mean, it's mainly just something different, like they've been in the backyard before. It's not something you're familiar with. There, what do you got? All right, you got something in your purse? Yeah, give me that Bed Bath and Body Works, like spray it on my hat and drag it on the ground. And then I want to see who's curious,
Sure.
like just who goes out there identifies it and then explores it. And then that's like a minimum standard for me.
Well, like when we were selecting dogs, all of our police canine dogs were donated dogs. Unlike what Heath does, where they've got a different purpose for, patrol dog stuff. They're using they're using European breeds and all this other stuff. And I'm not going to get into that because I'll be in over my head. But what we did was we chose dogs and we used the Seeing Eye Dog Institute standards. So one of the things that we looked at was curiosity, boldness. So what you're saying is a puppy that shows a true interest in something that's curious, not afraid to investigate. Investigative behavior is huge, and we overlook it as houndsmen. When we're selecting these puppies, we don't understand it. It's not something we're familiar with, and it's a valuable tool. We would take, like the dog that I got, she was high ball drive. You could take that ball and throw it anywhere. You could throw it on the roof, and she was going to try to tear the house down to try to figure out how to get on the roof of the house. She would go under cars. She would go in cars. She would go in a dark place. All that sort of stuff. So you got that curiosity, but also I think there's something deeper. I think there's a mammalian, the mammalian reflex there that mammals are drawn to mommy, and the female pheromone, if you take your wife's perfume, they're actually relating that back to the mother figure in their life. My daughters, I'm telling you right now, since my girls left home, the quality of hounds that I have had and raised from puppies has gone down because they put an extra layer on those puppies where they bond with them and they just bring something out of them that we as knuckle dragging men can't bring out of them. I'm just telling you, that's my theory.
My wife has the same hypothesis, if that makes you feel better, Chris. She talks about it all the time, that she says that her cuddling on them and loving on them all the time makes them better hunting dogs. I mean, you corroborate what she says. If she was sitting back there, she'd be grinning and going, pew, 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 slapping me in the back of the head.
Tough was cheating on me last night. That little sucker, he's laying outside this building right now, my little podcast space here, waiting on me. But if my wife came to the door, he would be in there laying on the bed with her, and he wouldn't even think about me coming in the house. He'd just be like, I'm good.
Until you say it's time to go.
I don't know, man. Sometimes I wonder. I call her the dog napper. I mean, she can take any pup that I bring home, and within 15 minutes, definitely within 3 days, if I can't find a pup, I go look for her, and that puppy's right there with her. It's crazy. I don't know what's going on.
If I had to guess and put my input in on that, a lot of times the ladies in our lives, that help us out with all these dogs, my wife's there as well. They're a great, I'm going to say safe space with, I agree. No weird connotation that goes along with it. But there's, my wife doesn't have any expectations.
Exactly.
For the puppy. There's no standards he has to meet. She doesn't get on him for anything other than chewing up this or that or peeing in the wrong spot. After that, you exist and look cute, which, most puppies, have in spades. So I think, and to go back to what you're saying, Chris, I think it sure as heck can't hurt to have somewhere they can go where there's like barely any expectations, and they're going to win, so to speak, whereas with us, you're like, I need you to do this. All right, almost there. Okay, great. You got it. Okay, cool. Now I need you to do this.
Yeah.
All right, you're almost there. All right, cool. You got it. Now here, like with them, it's like, come here.
Exactly.
And dogs that have that, like, I'm not saying they need that from both parties. I like it separate, so Yeah,
I mean, I'm not gonna lie, I do it too. When I see Calypso, the cutest greyhound that's ever lived, I can't help myself. I turn into a little puddle. You my Calypso, because she's so gross.
Is she the one that eats her own shit?
No, not her own. She's not disgusting. Everyone else's.
See, I'm not loving on that dog. No way.
It's just her mouth. You could kiss her head.
No.
Hey, I'm telling you, I took a puppy one time. This is about probably close to a year ago now. I took a puppy out hunting, treated its first coon, knocked that coon out to it, let the dog enjoy the coon. That was at like 2 a.m. I had a vet appointment, 8 a.m. sharp. And the vet tech was letting that puppy just kiss her and lick her all over the face. And I didn't even bother to tell her where that dog's mouth had been 6 hours ago.
They deserve it, Bryce. Let her wait and tell her when it's all over. You know,
plot twist: she got coonhound paralysis.
Yeah.
Well, I think we've just from your last statement there, Chad. I think you're officially the leader of the Houndsman XP He-Man Woman Haters Club. But no, I think there is definitely something to that with puppies and giving them. That's why we crate train, to give them safe spaces, and I hate using that term.
I know. We need to come up with something else. We
got to come up with something else.
The den.
I'm gonna go brush my teeth now. I don't want to even say safe space.
Yeah. All right.
We just had like that last 30 minutes of this podcast about training all that, and then I was gonna be like, Chad, what about your sight hounds? And he's like, oh, they chase things. The end. That's training them.
Well, no, my new dog box is up on the flatbed, and then even higher than that. So it's way up there. I mean, like it's just below my chest here, and they're having to jump up and what's that?
Those are your boobies. Your man boobs.
Okay, those are pecs. How dare you?
Oh,
I got your back, Chad.
My chest.
At 54, they're man boobs.
Yeah. Fair enough.
Chad's only 51.
Jump up and thread the needle, and that's hard as puppies, getting them trained to do that. I'm bringing hay bales with me. That's a little tip there. At the house, I stack them up in a set of stairs, and I just, every day they come in, they go up there, then they go, it's just a part of our routine. I'll have them inside in the crates inside, and every morning I get up and I at least walk them out, and then they run up the hay bales up into the thing, and I give them a little squirt of Cheese Whiz. In the beginning, I used to squirt the Cheese Whiz on the very back wall so they can go all the way in and find it themselves. And then I just slowly start removing hay bales, and now we're down to 2 hay bales. So they're still jumping almost like 4 feet. And then when I take them out hunting now, I just grab the hay bales and I throw them up on the rig rack, and I take them with me. And then when I unload them, they go out and hunt around, and then I set them up before I come back. And as I leave, I fill a little bucket of water and put it up in the dog box. So as we come back, the adults go in there, and I find they follow way better than they're told to do anything. And my adult dog jumps up in there, and they hear the drinking of the water, and they just follow them right up in there. And if they don't think about it, they can do amazing things, But if you're you slow them down and say, hey, you can do this, try it. They're like, I can't, I just can't. It's impossible. I don't have feet. So
yeah.
That's working out for me with the sight hounds.
Unofficially, Cheese Whiz is the greatest training tool of all time. I'm so happy that I convergently came to that when I found out Chad was using Cheese Whiz too. I've been using Cheese Whiz since my guys were just little teensy tiny monsters, and it's the best. You could get a dog to jump through a hoop of lava or a pool of lava with Cheese Whiz. It's the best.
Real question is, do any of you eat Cheese Whiz?
Nah.
No. Okay, good. I didn't want any crap from my creamer if you guys were eating Cheese Whiz, because that is the nastiest stuff on this planet Earth.
Seth lets a shit eater take some Cheese Whiz, and then he squirts himself some too.
Yeah. Not shit, it's cheese. Oh man.
All right, so I want to talk about, I mean, we've heard the whole thing. Let's just do a brief recap on the last All Mixed Up, because I want to save Bryce's episode. That episode was unbelievable. The last one you dropped, Bryce. But
oh yeah,
you guys did some cool stuff. Besides talk about, there's all kinds of stuff on Patreon if you want to see all the extra bonus material. Seth has got that all up on Patreon. There's a complete podcast with all mixed up, breaking it down. But you guys did a couple other things that I thought was really cool that I think we need to talk about. And that was the gear review, and you did the keeper call. So
yeah. Yeah, I mean,
that was you, brother, man. That was great ideas.
Well, I mean, I just have too much time to drive around in the woods or in the desert, I guess. But yeah, I mean, as far as everyone heard, Canada was insane. And actually, I just we're still talking to some of the veterans that were there. Jason, no, not Jason. Sorry. Geez, Louise, I got them all. I was still talking to Dylan, and I just got a message from one of the veterans, you guys, who was there on the trip, that was blown away from how much fun the hound hunting was. And it was Jason. I apologize. Yeah, Jason just got a hound, you guys.
No way.
So, yeah.
I ruined another one. Good job.
Yep. He just picked up his first hound. Jason Brennan, you guys, the patrons, go listen to the Patreon. And he joined me with Dylan on a bonus episode there, as Chris was talking about. And yeah, he just texted me today. He's like, well, I had a great time. I thought I was going to get a bird dog. Nope. I think I'm just going to get a coon hound. And it looks like he got himself a red tick of some kind, or an English, I think. I don't know. It looks like you can't.
Yeah, we can't see that. Looks like an English dog.
Yeah. So anyway,
it's one of them off-colored dogs, according to Bryce. It's one of them off-colored dogs.
He's giving you the thumbs down right now, Jason.
Yeah. I'm just saying, those English dogs can be hard to live with. I have seen them do very good work, but man, they can be stubborn.
Oh, now.
Yeah.
Not as stubborn as blue ticks. Not as stubborn as blue ticks.
See, any idiot can take a walker dog out. As many of them as there are, and as many people that are breeding them, sooner or later you're going to find one. They're everywhere. You can find one that's decent somewhere. But when you start getting into the specialty breeds, you give me a guy that's got a black and tan coonhound that shows up and he's always a threat. That's the houndsman out of the group. That's the guy. He's the one. And I'm not even a black and tan guy. Now, if you take a guy that's got a plot that's a threat at the PKC event, then you better watch out for that guy. He's not packing junk, and he knows what he's doing.
Yeah, I mean, keeper call, you guys. Stay tuned for that. There's going to be a lot more. There's going to be a lot more of that coming up, and I'm going to be poking at the Houndsman XP crew for a lot more of those. Chad's was the best one. I actually had to mute my mic several times because I was in stitches. That was that was funny. Chad, you should have kept him. I actually some fans messaged me after that episode, you guys, and everyone said keep Chad. So I just want you to know
they didn't have to clean up the sewer bucket 3 times a day.
Speaking of Canada, Lloyd Hooper, the guide out there, a good friend of mine from Babine Guide Outfitters, he said, "Hey, you're not drinking that water. Who cares?" Like, he hunt him.
Yeah. Hey, Mackie Mans has got a pup up there right now that just won King of the Hunt at the it was a blue tick hunt up in Michigan. They just made him a night champion. He was here. He's actually in a video. I raised that pup, and he was in a video baying a bear when he was just real young. And you know what the deal breaker was for me, Chad?
That
sucker peed in his doghouse.
Yeah.
He would flood his doghouse. He was too. I don't know why he decided that was the place that he needed to take a leak, but I actually had to drill holes in the bottom of the doghouse and drain it out because they're attached to the back of my. Oh yeah, and it still smells bad. But
so why get rid of him? I mean, who cares, right? I mean, or is it just gross?
Because
that
it was.
Go ahead. Go.
Because it was cold, and I know it was an easy fix. I could have moved him and put him in a smaller doghouse, but it was the doghouse he was whelped in. I think he grew up, letting a little loose in there, and it kind of smelled that way anyway. But I really think it was just a mental thing for him, and it was just a deal breaker for me. It's like, if you're not smart enough or you don't have the guts to go out and pee and show your wee in front of the male dog standing in the kennel next to you, I don't need you. And he goes north. Mackie gets him. Mackie loves him. And hallelujah, that was just the way it was.
You've said multiple times, though, that sometimes a zip code change can do a lot for a dog.
Yeah. Yeah. Because for me, if I get down on that dog, if I'm down on them, it's just like they got to like resurrect the dead and walk across water in order for me to even take another look at them once I get done on them.
That messy stuff, though, the reason I hate that, I mean, like, Black was a special case because he only pooped in his water bucket, He didn't poop in the dog box. But I'll get rid of a dog that pees in its doghouse, dog box. I hate cleaning it up.
Yeah, I do too. I'm too lazy to clean it up. I don't tolerate it.
Yeah, there's standards with dogs. And a lot of times if, they like to keep themselves clean. And once they decide it's okay to stand in their own pee or stand in the other dog's pee or poop or anything, and then they all start doing it. It's just, I touch these things. It's nasty, So that's a quick way to go. Dog fighting, not coming when you're called, and messing the dog box. That'll get you in a whole lot of trouble around here, and mainly because it just affects everything else, Messing the dog box, it can ruin other dogs. It can take your best dog and teach them a bad trait. And I travel a lot where I'll just pack up, the hawk and the horse and, bird dog, sight hounds and a hound or two and, and then go, and do all the different things. And if their knee jerk reaction is like, oh, I have a mild desire to empty, I'm just going to press my butt up against the corner and poop on the other dog.
We need to do a podcast about traveling with dogs. Bryce, what you got?
I was saying, do you guys tolerate barking in the box? Because that for me is almost as much of a turnoff as relieving themselves in the box. I cannot stand a dog that barks in the box. When you're in the box, shut up.
Depends. For me, at least, for me, if I'm traveling, yeah, shut your mouth, and they know when I mean it, but then when we're hunting, they know they can get away from it a little bit more because I rigged so much with bear and lion and everything like that. I'll rig. So they need to, early on when I was getting started, I used to be that hard about it, because with the bite dogs, they'll bark forever if you let them, so it was really strict. Shut your mouth. And then I got to the point where like my dogs weren't rigging like they should. And I was like, what's going on? And it was because I had such a strict no barking in the dog box situation going on. And they wouldn't do it. So they get away with it a little bit. I'll let them bark. And if I can tell they're just really just trying to make some noise because they're bored, I'll get on them and stomp them back down. But they always get a few freebies with me when we're actively hunting for bear or lion. But if we're traveling, if we're on the highway cruising, shut up. Shut the heck up.
Yeah, there's just a couple guys that I hunt with quite a bit. And gosh, they have some really nice dogs. But the whole way to the woods, you just listen to them bark. And I can't. You're in the truck behind them, and you can hear their dogs barking. And man, it drives me nuts.
Yep, I'm with you. I had a buddy that used to hog hunt, and he ran them with hounds, plot hounds actually. And he'd load his side by side up into the horse trailer, and then like 8 or so plot hounds into the back of the trailer, and then take off. And those things would light up from his house all the way out to the field. I'm like, all the pigs are gone now, man. We're going to be chasing these things till dawn just to try and catch back up. So I'm with you on that one. That drives me nuts. I can't stand it.
Isn't that kind of an etiquette thing though, too? I mean, it's one of those deals that as houndsmen, especially, I've noticed Eastern coon hunters are very intolerant of it, but bear hunters and things like that, they tolerate a little bit more because they think that if they get on a dog for loose barking in the box, then it's going to affect their ability to rig bears and different things like that.
If you don't know how to finesse it, I guess it could. I mean, but if you know how to read your dog, it's fine. My dogs know. They don't ever bark on the highway, And they like I said, they will get a little sloppy sometimes. Like if it's, somebody gets a little excited, they'll bark and I'll get out and they'll shut up, and I'll get in the vehicle and drive a few feet and they might bark again. I'm like, all right, hush. You know what the heck's going on. And then they'll be quiet for the rest of the day and then explode when we cross that bear rig, So they can know the difference. You just got to meet the standard.
My dogs are allowed to, they bark on the rig up on the rack, but I don't tolerate barking in the box. Unless it's just a red hot track, and who can blame them for that? You know, if it's a box shaker inside the box, and I don't have rig holes in my box and stuff like that. But they're allowed to bark up on the rig, but not loose bark. And I think it's just knowing your hounds, like you said, Chad, just knowing what's there and what's real and what's just nervous, stupid barking. Because there's a difference, man. You get a dog that I can tell. I've had pups, and Diablo will still do it to me. He hadn't been hunted for a few days, and you're pulling out, and he's rolling out the driveway here, and he's back there whining and carrying on and different stuff. I don't tolerate it.
Okay, so we were talking about instincts earlier. I got one for you. I got a pup here right now that barks like crazy in the kennel, and it drives me nuts. That's another thing I do not like. She wears a bark collar a lot. But I will say, I've never had to get onto her for barking in the box from day one. When she goes in the box, she's quiet as can be. Sometimes when I need a break from her, I'll put the box in the shade and I'll just put her in the box. She's quiet.
Yeah.
You know?
Yep.
Like, I wonder if that's something like instinctive. I don't know, but it's just interesting with her. I've never once had to get onto her for that.
Yeah, it's crazy because the two plots that I've got, they're pretty quiet in the kennel, but if you put them in the box and they think they're going hunting, then
that's how mine are.
You got to have your finger on the button and quiet them down. But
I got 4 that are like that. I mean, you got one Calypso, the one that eats all the poop. She's pure charisma. Okay. When it's time to go hunting in the morning, it's crazy.
She's very metropolitan.
She is. She's a high class lady. How dare you?
Cosmopolitan.
She's all the politins. Yeah. Okay.
But Neapolitan.
Never mind.
There you go.
Never mind this chunk of shit between my teeth right here.
No, she swallows it whole. She doesn't chew it. She's not disgusting. Okay.
She's probably sitting there chewing that shit like bubble gum. She's like,
I watch her. She goes straight from the tap. She tosses it back like a stale Tootsie Roll. Anyway. But yeah, in the morning when I'm ready to go hunting, she's freaking annoying. Like throwing herself on the ground, howling, barking, yapping, whining. All the rest of them are real quiet except her. So I feel bad when I get everyone up in the morning to go hunting and it's like 4:30 in the morning and my wife's trying to sleep. I have to put a bark collar on her. Otherwise, she'll wake Liz up and there's just no way she's going back to sleep because Calypso's. And heaven forbid I have to leave Calypso. She's like salivating and freaking out. It's bad. So anyway, yeah, I feel bad for her in the early morning. I don't have any of those problems in the box though. When Strider was a little puppy, he'd pee sometimes in the box, but I didn't really. Yeah, whatever. He was a baby. He grew out of it.
You bring up a valuable point there. I'd rather have one bark a little bit in the box. I've never had a dog turd from any of my dogs in the box.
Me neither.
You know, so. I'd rather have a little bit of barking and have to get on them for that than have one that gets so spazzed out that they put liquid sewage all over the dog box. That's horrible.
Ugh.
Yeah. Got to deal with that the rest of the day.
I actually have a dog, a sighthound puppy that's doing that right now, and I got it on the run. She gets car sick, and some dogs throw up, and she'll just poop, even if it's not liquid. She'll just go. You know, and then if I ever go too long, all the dogs will hop out and she'll be in the back kind of woozy, you know?
Oh, man.
And it took me a little while to find out it was her. And now I know it's her, but I'm just doing short little drives, you know? I'll come home from work, you know, and I'll load her up and I'll drive down the road and turn around and come back and take her right back out and feed her, take her inside and feed her, you know? And I just try and just extend it, you know? Find her point, look back there, and she'll look drunk, and I'm like, "Oh, we've reached the limit. Time to get her out." You know?
Is it one of your fluffy tails, Chad?
What's that?
Is it one of your fluffy tails?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. She's already coming out of it. She's coming out. Once I identified who it was, you know, and just like I said, just identify it and then load her up and take her for a ride and give her a reward for it, and then bring her back and just extend it out a little bit at a time. It's fine.
I can't wait to see them in action. That's going to be awesome, dude. They're looking so good.
Yeah, I'm excited.
Let's talk about gear review a little bit. What you guys are doing with gear reviews. What are you guys thinking that you're going to take it? You did boots. And what else did you do? Did you just do boots?
So far, we've only done boots. And we're right now, obviously, we're going to do gear that we use a ton. And it's not just hound hunting gear, too, because there's a lot of gear that translates among the disciplines. You know what I mean? So I don't want to give too much away. Stay tuned. But next month, we're going to be focusing on moving away from clothing and focusing more on like some gear that keeps you just more comfortable and happy in the field. There's a lot of things. There's a lot of pro tips that I've accumulated that aren't necessarily for hound hunting, just more like wilderness living that makes you a lot more happy out in the field. And those are kind of some things that I want to transition with as well, gear reviews. So stay tuned, you guys. I got 13 years I only have about 20 office days a year. So I live in the desert so that I can give some better pro tips on wilderness living than I can on hound hunting. So I'll be giving some of those as well with our gear reviews. Some gear that is cheap, guys, cheap. I spend on great gear, and I think that's really important, but there's also a lot of things that you can do that are quite affordable that are very nice.
Yeah. Well, cool. Everybody needs to tune in. I'll be looking forward to that for sure. Seeing what you guys got going on. Boots are just something that are so important. Man, I'll tell you what, I remember when I first started hunting it didn't matter. But as you get more into it and you get some age on you, you want to be comfortable and you start dealing with plantar fasciitis and just ailments that old people get, then you gotta try to find stuff to cheat the system, because I used to be able to throw on a pair of lacrosse, or gum boots, and just like my kids, man, I never bought them anything expensive. They bought the little rubber ducky boots and they go all day because they wanted to be there. And now I'm getting to be more of a gear snob.
Have you gone back to the rubber ducky boots though? Have you tried them again?
No, I have not. Won't do it. Won't do it.
Yeah, so. I loved your talk with Bridger, Chris. Oh, that was one of the best episodes of Houndsman XP I've ever listened to. And I also wanted to give, you already beat me to it, but I was going to give a huge shout out to Bryce's episode. I actually really, really loved the Hot or Not episode. That was really good, Bryce.
That was an awesome way to start off a podcast.
So good.
All right, guys, let's talk about Hot or Not. Yeah. You remember the game? It was awesome. It was good, Bryce.
It was very good.
Thank you, guys. I mean, it was fun. But now I'm trying to think of, how to one up that, because, man, I feel like I came out
just roll with it.
Hot
or Not is you, brother.
We need to change the name of the podcast. Hot or Not with Bryce Matthews. Special segment.
No, that was fun. And shout out to Kevin and Billy on that one too, because these podcasts, we couldn't do it without the guests that, sit down in front of the mics with us. And they were just a blast to have on there. And they resonated with the people. And I feel like it had all the combinations to be a good podcast. And I didn't think it would be as well received as it was, but man, we got a ton of good comments and reviews on it.
Top notch.
People messaging me, and I mean, I sure appreciate it. It makes the guy feel good about it,
Definitely.
Yeah. That's the truth too about your guests. That's what made the bear episode with Bridger Petrini. Oh, he was just such a great guest. I didn't have to do anything. I was sitting there listening to this story, and I just happened to look at my timer. And usually at about an hour or so, you're trying to figure out how you're going to wrap stuff up. And it was like an hour and 15 minutes into it. And I'm still like, are you kidding me? We've been talking for this long.
And I was like, man, it's so good. Like, yeah, it was a great episode.
Not taken away from anything that you did, Bryce, but the Deep and Lonely podcast is really taking on its own life. And the style that you're doing it in is just great, because it's about the guests, and you're really showcasing some people that have their own ideas and thoughts about it, and you're letting them run with it, and it's kind of like you're the student listening and trying to glean all the knowledge you can. So
it is 100%, and I've told that to several people, and that's kind of how I am just as a general person. Like, I love to learn things. I mean, I drive 8 to 10 hours a day in my truck, and I listen to podcasts the majority of the time, because I feel like that's time that I can learn, So when I get that hour and a half to sit down with people and listen to them and learn how they've done things. And, a lot of these guys that I've had on there so far have been guys that are further ahead in the sport than I am. So I'm like, okay, I want to be where they are. What do I got to do to get there? So it's just an opportunity to gain that knowledge and build those stepping stones and hopefully reach the level that they're at.
For sure. That seems to be a theme around here, really. We don't have anybody that produces podcasts for us that's got the attitude that I'm the guy. You need to listen to what I have to say. I have arrived. It's Heath's podcast, The Journey, all mixed up. We're all trying to bridge these gaps and make life easier and just learn from each other on this whole thing.
That's right. Well, if you think you know it all, you're not a very bright person. That's the first thing, right? I mean, when I first started here at Houndsman XP, one of the first guests I had was Paul Domsky, and he's been running Sighthounds for 25 years. And he said, I just feel like now I've learned enough that I feel like I don't know anything. You know what I mean? At 25 years, he's just like, you get to this point where you're just like, man, I still have so much to learn. And like my friend David, he's been hunting Sighthounds for 71 years. And he's just like, I'm still learning something every time I turn him out. I'm like, damn, David, damn.
And that's the truth. Every single time you turn them loose, like, I feel like I'm learning something. And I am a student of the sport in all aspects of it. And, I'm very blessed that I've got a couple good buddies that I can call at midnight, 1 o'clock in the morning, because I know they're doing the same thing I'm doing. I'm like, hey, this is what's happening. What would you do? And like, well, try this or try that, or no, you're doing just fine, And so you've got to have two parts to that. You've got to have somebody willing to learn, and then you've got to have somebody willing to teach. Because if you're not willing to teach, you're not willing to spread the wealth, and you're not willing to grow the sport. So, I feel like I don't know much by any stretch of the term, but I know more than somebody who's just getting into it. So when people message me and, hey, what would you do here? What would you do there? You've got to remember that, you were once that person. So help them out the best that you can. And at a point, you have to be like, all right, this is past me. Let me reach out to somebody else, or let me, get you in touch with somebody else who might know better.
I heard a preacher one time use the phrase, he's giving his sermon and he was trying to get his message across, and it was a touchy subject. He goes, guys, I'm not an expert here. I'm just a beggar trying to tell another beggar where to find bread. Yeah, that's a pretty good way of putting it. That stuck with me as a person. I learned something from all kinds of people that I hunt with. I just got back from 2 weeks with Shorty Gorham out in New Mexico, and just watching the way he does things with hounds. And I learned stuff when I was talking to Bridger Petrini. I learned stuff, if you're not willing to open your mind, and I mean, you've got to have a bullshit filter. There's no doubt about it. But at the same time, there's nuggets of knowledge all along this trail that we're on. And if you've got your head in the air and your nose in the air and you think, I got it figured out, I'm just going to get to the end on my own, you're missing a big part of the enjoyment of it. Because I can't imagine being at that point where, I mean, if I get to that point, I might as well just get rid of everything I got. There's nothing left.
Yep. Totally agree. Growth is exciting.
Yeah.
Something you were, go ahead, Seth.
Oh, no, I was going to say growth is exciting, especially in a 4x4 plot. But anyway, sorry. Go ahead, Chad.
Smooth. I think everything you guys saying there is super important, but and spot on. Like I always try and learn more. I think that's important for any dogman, any expert, really. I mean, like, it's not just dogs. You take some metal worker, or a lifelong farrier, or an artist, a painter. I got a buddy. I won't say his name, but he's a taxidermist. He makes hoods. He is an artist, painter, and a sculptor. And he can't swing a stick without making something beautiful, and he says all the time that he's learning, so I think it's important of any person that really truly wants to be, as good as they can be at whatever, even if they're not trying to earn some title. I want to do A, B, and C because then I'll be a master. No, like they just want to be as good as they can be. Yes. I think that's part of it. So anybody that really genuinely tries has that same mindset. And I just think a lot of the people that, say, no, I've got it. I've learned everything I need to learn. You don't see them at the top very much. You really don't. Because, they fall behind real fast as soon as you get that mentality. But something else we kind of zipped over real quick that I thought would be real important to say is share your information with a lot of people. Yes. I know a lot of folks like to retain it and hold it. And, like, hey, this is valuable. I just don't want to give it away. But obviously I'm a talker, but
no way.
What? I have learned so much just talking thoughts out, and training somebody that may not be as knowledgeable in whatever specific topic we're talking about here, and in explaining it to them, I'll unlock little facets of my own technique or something like that. So I learned by teaching. And sharing what I got.
Teaching is a great way to learn. Yeah.
Oh my gosh. I think it's like one of the last steps of becoming as good as you can be at your trade is sharing that knowledge. And it consolidates, it compartmentalizes bits and pieces in your mind so that you can describe it. I'm lacking the right words right now, but so that you can get, wrap it up in a pretty little package and give it to somebody else, and in doing that really helps you understand what you're thinking already and what you've been doing for years.
There's a couple things there that I think of. One is the steps that we taught in Hunter Ed about the progression of the hunter. You get the shooting phase, you get the limiting out phase, you get the method stage, but the ultimate stage that you reach is that mentoring stage as a hunter, where you start teaching other people and you share your experience, and even if it's bad experience, and you see that guy that's standing there saying, "Don't do that. I know what's going to happen," that's still sharing your experience. And then the other thing that I think about is, have you ever heard the term paradigm paralysis?
Yes.
Paradigm. Thomas Kuhn wrote the book Structure of Scientific Revolution. And he stated in the world of scientists that they go through a thing called paradigm paralysis, where they've got their theory. They've already got the end in mind. So they've developed these theories and nothing else can possibly work. That's paradigm paralysis. When you get stuck in your own thought process that you think that there's nothing else that could be feasible. And I find a lot of times it's real easy for us as houndsmen to get stuck in this paradigm paralysis.
Yes, the opposite of thinking outside the box. And it happens in academia, and how it was great. The layman term for that is those people have their heads way too up their own ass. You know what I mean? Like you got to get out and experience other ways of looking at a problem. And that's where a great team comes in. And exactly the point we're all making is surround yourself with people you respect that are knowledgeable, and it'll increase your knowledge. It'll increase everybody's knowledge. And, it's so funny too, Chad, you bring up that guy who does all these crazy, difficult things. And I'm just like, where are these people? Like, all I do is go, look, a jackrabbit. You know what I mean? And these guys are like, all these guys are painting and sculpting and building hoods. And I'm just like, you want to see a hair? So anyway, that's all I was thinking. Chris, I think about the progression. I heard about the progression of hunters first from you. And I think about that often. And where am I? I think about that all the time in both big game hunting and my journey in houndsmanship. There you go. So I don't know. I think about that often, and it's something good to think about where you fall in that kind of spectrum.
Well, Bryce, I think you're doing a great job with Deep and Lonely of capturing that thought, whether it's intentional or not. I think rings true. I mean,
oh yeah,
we all just need to hear other people's story and develop our own theories, and you're doing a good job of that. So
I appreciate that, fellas. I've had a blast. Been doing this for a couple months with you guys now, and feels like I've been doing it for a long time. But I mean, it's just fun. It's a good environment. Surround your people with those you want to be like, and you might go somewhere in life.
all right. Well, hey, what else we got to cover? What else is there?
Well, tell us about New Mexico. Tell us what you loved about it. You just keep sprinkling in that you were there. What did you love, bud? Because I mean, don't even get me started.
Oh yeah, no, New Mexico, northern New Mexico. I've told several people that, that whole area, whether you're coming from, the extreme southern parts of Colorado or Western Slope or whatever, but it's just a lifestyle down there that is different than probably anywhere else I've been. I've told a few people that it's like the last bastion of, the cowboy culture, where, you've got these open rigs and jump rigs and different things, and saddled horses and people working cattle off of horseback to just huge ranches of 40,000 acres that I'm not keeping up here. You guys are doing stuff. I don't know what you're doing in the chat session here, but anyway, the ranch we were on was 40,000 acres. The TO ranch, as you heard in the Bridger Petrini episode, 400-pound bear episode, is 225,000 acres. There's only 83,000 acres in the county that I live in. I mean, that's crazy.
Yeah.
To think about how big this ranch is. You can put five of my counties in the Paloma Ranch almost.
Yeah, and then think about it too, is that's deeded private. The majority of New Mexico is public.
Yeah, well, we're not going to get the whole, you're right. I mean, it's
the
just
space
crazy.
Is badass is all I'm trying to say.
It absolutely is. It absolutely is. And there just isn't anybody that lives there. It'd be a miserable place. I came across Southwest Kansas, and I had the thought that somebody would have to be absolutely 100% sold out that I'm going to be a farmer and in the ag business if they want to live out there. I mean, it's crazy. Once you get south of Dodge City, Kansas, southwest of Dodge City, Kansas, you drive, and I'll tell you a cool thing that I did. This is crazy. I was driving across it was US 160, I think. And I was looking around. I was like, there's no trash along the edge of the road. None. There wasn't any trash. So I started setting my trip odometer. I went 7 miles between a McDonald's wrapper or whatever and the next piece of trash. You can't do that here. You can't do that. You can't go a tenth of a mile here without seeing that. And just that sort of mindset and that open space and that respect for the land. And it was like that all the way down into New Mexico. It's pretty amazing. Pretty amazing.
How about just the dichotomy of the weather? That's what I love about it. It's so diverse. I mean,
I call it going on my Western period, because about after 3 days of being there, your nose dries out, and then you get these bloody, snotty boogers and stuff. And that lasts for about 5 days. And then after you pass 5 days, you're cool. It's all good. It's all good. So it's about the same length as a menstrual cycle for your nose.
Your nose would just be like a wasteland if you came down here. It's like 7% humidity and like 111 right now.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it was like 75 where you were.
Yeah.
Speaking of not finding trash, we got a side note. We're gonna do a follow-up on the next Point Blank. I'm on a mission to figure out who is throwing those little fireball shooters in my yard. Every time I mow, there's new fireball shooters down the length of my property, right on the fence line. So I'm on a mission to figure out who is doing that.
Well, you just put out a calling card. You just put out a calling card. Everybody that listens to the Houndsman XP podcast in Northern Indiana.
Throw your trash.
Yeah, throw your fireball shooters out in Bryce's yard.
I have never littered in my life, and now I literally want to go throw a 30-pack out on your fence.
I know where he lives. Come on.
It's ridiculous. And Chris knows where I live. Like right on the edge of where the cows are. It is just, I mean, there's 4 or 5 fireball shooters every week that I mow.
You got 7 kids in that house. Have them go out and mow the grass, Bryce. We've covered this. You know, they should be mowing the grass, and it wouldn't even bother you because you'll never see them. They'll just hit them with a mower and scatter them across the lawn.
I was teaching the oldest boy to mow. You know, he mowed a couple times, and then the next time I went out to mow, and the front end of my mower was a little busted up, and, you know, failed to mention we hit a little something, but we'll have that on those big jobs.
Oh,
they got to learn somehow.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, the fireball shooters, man, if they get in my garden, I'm really going to be aggravated.
Right. I got an idea for you, man. Go to your neighbor's property and put a trash can out in their yard close to the road with a sign that says, you know, can you make it? Fireball's here.
A bullseye on it.
Yeah. Yeah. So that everybody will just throw them, you know, before they get to your yard over in that trash can. You know, it'll be his problem then, you know, but maybe it'll stick, you know. You could do it on like a street sign or something.
Chad, you're a training genius.
Positive
reinforcement.
Find the behavior and how can you manipulate it, man? It's all the same.
Oh man.
Chris is bitch right there. I'll tell you what. Hey, I do want to tell you about Tough and his bear hunting experience. And we did trash on some bears in New Mexico. So we were lion hunting. What are you going to do? You know, you get a bear track, you got dogs free casted, and they trash on a bear. This little sucker was sorting out tracks. I mean, that the hounds were like bogged down on the cliffs and different things. And I'd see him looping out, and then the hounds would follow him out, and boom, away they'd go. Extremely impressed with that little terrier.
I remember you called me. You were so excited.
Yeah.
You were telling me you sounded that it made my heart happy. It did. You were like, Seth, he ran. He goes truck to tree.
Yeah, no doubt. He definitely
did. He sound just like that?
He was so
gleeful.
I
did. Gleeful.
He was so gleeful.
Well, terriers are like little mascots, man. I don't know of another dog that could get you so pumped. You know, like their enthusiasm for life. It bleeds into everything around them. You know,
that's exactly right. That's exactly right.
I tell you what, I watched a video on Facebook this week that made me want to just quit everything I'm doing in life and train a terrier for nuisance control because it was the coolest 3 minute and 41 second video I've seen in a long time.
It was Tyler.
And you know what I'm talking about, Chad? Tyler Slayton.
Oh my God!
Jumped out of the soffit of the house, and that terrier came in and whack. I mean, it was game over. It was amazing. Like I was like, that's it. I'm going into nuisance control with a terrier.
Yeah, for sure.
Well, do we have a treat for you?
Yeah.
Stay tuned to be all mixed up this month.
There you go. There you go. Well, guys, I think we've been. I hate to put a time limit on it, but I'm getting sleepy. I'm old. No, seriously. Been a great conversation. I appreciate everything everybody does. Make sure that you're checking out the Houndsman XP podcast. You can go to houndsmanxp.com. And before we wrap this up and I put a bow on it, does anybody have anything pressing that they need to get out before we tell everybody where they need to find all the cool merchandise? Chad, round robin, good. Shotgun, Chad, 10 seconds.
I'm good.
Seth.
Check us out, you guys, on Patreon. We're doing all kinds of cool stuff there. Stay tuned. Our $12 patrons, a new round of Sportsman's Alliance memberships is going out tomorrow. So thank you guys for your support, and I love seeing you all there. Come check out our bonus material we talked about in this podcast, and there's a lot more to almost every podcast me and Chad put out. There's tons of bonus material behind the scenes.
That's right.
Bryce, unmute your mic and give us your wrap up here.
No, I just want to say thanks to everybody who's been supporting Deep and Lonely so far. If you guys haven't checked it out, feel free to go over there, check it out. And then make sure to come by and say hi to all of us that are going to be at Autumn Oaks. That was something that I'm looking forward to. It's a great event. It's a very busy event for myself as I work it. We take all the kids and the dogs camping, and then we hunt on it as well. So it's a busy week, but I will be out and about and around. Feel free to come by, say hi. We can chit chat and talk dogs. So I just appreciate everybody, and hope to see everybody there.
Cool. Yeah, it's. Are you going to have anything from your garden at the Autumn Oaks?
Yeah, Nikki's world famous jalapeno poppers and stuffed peppers will be there. So feel free to swing by the camper. Dude, she throws down. There's people there.
You're not going to grow that much stuff out of the 4x4 garden,
Chris.
You're going to go to the farm market on the way to Richmond. You're going to go to the farm market on the way to Richmond.
The only thing that I am lacking this year, and it's a shame, is the corn. The corn is not thriving. Sweet corn is not thriving.
We got like 6 stalks. To grow. You got six stalks of sweet corn.
Actually, I'm going to send you a picture after this. It might be 6.
Oh, it's great, man.
I tried to grow.
We planted a bunch of it, and it just didn't come up.
Yeah.
Well, at least yours, mine got my hopes up. I tried to do corn once and I bit into it and it was like eating a log of wood. It was horrible.
You're trying to grow it in sand.
I know.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. That's why I'm not even going to get into that. Anyway, moving on. All right. So check out Houndsman XP Podcast. We've got tumblers there from Midwest Laser Works. Awesome stuff. We've got hats. We've got shirts. Support us on the Fair Chase deal, guys. That is 100% American Houndsman type stuff. That is going to be the battleground.
Wear it to the vet's office.
Yeah.
Wear your Fair Chase shirt to the vet's office. You'll get some conversations. They don't even know what Fair Chase is. I promise.
Really?
I had a whole deal with it yesterday.
We're going to have to capture that on another conversation, but it is definitely a conversation starter. But we've got all kinds of stuff. We're going to be dropping new stuff there. Check us out, like Bryce said, at Autumn Oaks, and we'll see you next month at Autumn Oaks for sure.
See everybody there. Wait,
yeah.
I wish.
Yeah. Hey. Also, this podcast will drop before we're going to be at the Horses, Hounds, and Mules sale in Kirtland, New Mexico. So if you're there, make sure you look us up too. So I think this is going to be an awesome event. It's going to be an event for the Western Houndsman guys, the Southwest Houndsman guys for sure. It's going to be a who's who. I already know several people that are going to be there, and you should be there. Calvin Redhouse, the Whitaker brothers. I don't know if Calvin's going to make it, but I know that he's been there in the past. Doug Boykin's going to be there. I'm not going to name drop anymore, but there's going to be some legendary houndsmen at that event and be a good opportunity. It's like a rendezvous for the Southwestern houndsmen. So check out that event.
And two random hair coursers will be there too. Boom.
Yeah, talking about how great jackrabbits are. That'd be awesome. Yeah. I'm going all the way to
Don't you forget it.
That's right. All right, guys. Thanks for tuning in to the Houndsman XP Podcast. And this Point Blank, this is Fair Chase.